Okay, I think we'll get started. Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to actually the first session of Montreal is Seen By this semester and for 2022. My name is Marianne Potanen, and I'm going to chair this meeting. Let me introduce you to Vadim.
Hi, my name is Vadim St. Cyr. I'm a political science major student at McGill and minor in economics, and I'm going to be participating in interviewing Michael and with Marianne, Professor Marianne, sorry.
That's fine. Okay, so we're going to do, if you want to do the land acknowledgement, Vadim.
I would like to begin by acknowledging that while we meet today on a virtual platform, McGill University is located on land which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst Indigenous peoples, including the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe nations. We do this to acknowledge the importance of land on which we work, study, and live, and to acknowledge the complex web of relationships of which we are a part of.
Thank you. I just wanted to say before I introduce you to Michael that I want to acknowledge also the support of the McGill Institute for the Study of Canada, the Center for Interdisciplinary Research on Montreal, the Quebec Studies Program, and the Quebec Studies Student Association for supporting this, I think, fabulous series. So let me introduce you to Michael Farkas. He's the president of the Roundtable on Black History Month. He's the director of Youth in Motion, and he's the coordinator of Club Energie Arts program for children. He spends most of his time working with his community in Little Burgundy in order to come up with ideas and start projects to help make the world a better place. Mr. Farkas is also very passionate about Black history. He's an author, a composer, and singer, and has just released a third album entitled Solar Lady with the project Heart, Hand, and Soul. And I just want to, before I hand over the discussion or the conversation between Vadim and Michael, I just want to read an excerpt from Right Come, Right Go, which is written by Michael. So right to freedom, human rights for the living, right to achieving without being pushed in hatred. Black night, red land, yellow moon, and white shrine. Please become the gift that matters, that crystallizes our mind. Right come, right go. I'm talking about the ones that grow and grow. Right come, right go in the name of Social Joe. Right come, right go. Please don't deny the natural flow. So give a warm welcome to the conversation between Michael Farkas and Vadim St. Cyr.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Marianne, for this very beautiful introduction of me. And Vadim also, thank you for interviewing me this morning. And welcome to everyone. Let's do this.
Yeah, thank you. So I think just to start off, I just want to start off by asking you, like, why did you choose to start working at Bump, CETA, and Youth in Motion, basically the programs in Little Burgundy, just to set it off, just a broad overview, this introduction.
Well, I'm basically a community organizer. That would be my title. So I have a love. I don't know. I guess I came up about the place of Little Burgundy mainly because I'm from these areas. Like when I'm born and everything, was initially adopted, but my mother definitely spent a lot of time in Montreal at the time. So I think I'm close to home when I work around here. So it just happened like that the need also was a certain organization could could see me through and give me a job and never look back, basically. Because I also lived in Little Burgundy, so I know also about the downside about it in terms of crime and drugs and you know, like police harassment and all of them things. So we've lived that also at a certain time, and glad to say that God, saw me through, and I was able to reform myself. And now I give back, and I'm a community organizer. And why not work in Little Burgundy? It sounds really like a cool place to give back, and the needs are immense. It's inner city place tucked in between the rest of the Southwest, Saint Henri, Point Saint Charles, and downtown. So it's got its own character, and so I think I am blessed to be able to work in the first Black also community of Montreal. We know it's a Little Burgundy, so I feel very blessed to also work in this area.
Nice, thank you. And so, what role does this type of community engagement play in Little Burgundy in Montreal? What would you say would be the most important role that it would contribute to these areas?
I would say what brings the character of this place, like the music, the jazz, the story of the Union United Church, the Color Women's Club, the Porters. So which one do you want me? Is that the question?
It's more like what role does these programs that you're a part of? How does it contribute to the community?
Okay, yeah. I'm stuck on the historical component because it's so important and it gives so much distinction to this area of town. But we'll go back to that. While the programs have evolved, obviously at Youth Emotion or at Bump is more like a mediation where we do conflict resolution and we offer help to the community and to the youth, especially in public spaces, open spaces like in the park. So we survey, we bring security to the members of our community, especially the youth, and we to prevent. So sometimes we organize sports events, cultural events. I'm big on the whole cultural component here. So whether it's festivals in the summer or even the national holiday of Quebec, I will bring a Mishui allow, depending on the meat, let's say it's lamb, Mishui allow, because we know the community will come out for something that's allowed. A lot of people, they have customs like that where they have to follow those principles in terms of food. So we'll have a big lamb mishui, like a real supper, and everyone with shows and everything. So that's what Youth Emotion does. That's what we do every time we're allowed to do it, and even rain or shine, we do that. We also take care of the Burgundy Festival at the end of the summer. That's become a tradition. I think we're going towards our 37th edition. So that's like also a collective of music and dance and accomplishments by all different sectors of the community that comes together. And we propose this festival day. And usually it's to bring the people together and to say no to violence and to say, yes, we can live together. And obviously, the whole thing of vivre ensemble is at the basic of that. And Little Burgundy is the melting pot of all these different nationalities that have been living for so long. So we are a good example of people that can live together for many long time, because the Irish community is down here for a long time. Meaning the English speaking community, the Black English speaking communities down here. Today we have Southeast Asia is well represented, also members of those communities, as well as people from the Maghreb, North Africa. That's the new trend. Those are the new people, a lot of people coming from those countries also. So plus French Canadian also are still very much here, because these are the old neighborhoods. La Rue Notre Dame is right there. So these are old neighborhoods that were developed by also the founding or the founding settlers, I should say, French and English, because La Maison Saint-Gabriel, which is a paradise in Point Saint-Charles that will bring you back to the 17th century, is right there. So to remind you that the colons, you know, the settlers, European settlers set here and mingled with the First Nations and everything, bartered on these rivers and everything with the Lachine Canal and so on. So there's a rich history of industries and everything. So today, community services, community organization in the Southwest, in Little Burgundy, there's quite a few because the demand is there, but also it's also been an example of communities that want to come together and have associations, especially the Black community, always believed and had to organize like that by having Union United Church. So the Negro Community Center was born out of that because the Color Women's Club, basically those women that were looking after shelter, they were looking after food, all the basics of life, also recreational cultural activities. So they started that. So basically out of that, everything blossomed and the NCC got his own association. So so the same thing with French Canadian groups that have been there for a long time, servicing working class communities, basically. So it's very important. Like the CEDA that I work, Club Energie, is a big center that was formed by French Canadian families for literacy for adults, and it's still occupying that place today. They also have French as a second language. So we have a place in there with Club Energie for children every Saturday for the last 20 years. We've been offering basically art classes, you know, with breakdance, hip hop, music, and visual arts to children. So that's an opening from, you know, the French Canadian knowing, oh, we're going to have cultural communities inside of this. You are going to be able to share and offer programs like that. At Youth Emotion would be more around our studio. We have a beautiful studio downstairs that the teenagers and young adults really regular in it. They really like to come there on a regular basis. So we have sports activities every week. We have before the pandemic, we would have gone to the Super Aqua Park. That's a big outing of 2 buses that Youth Emotion prepares. Just like the sugaring off with Club Energie would be something we're going to do again this year. That, you know, we can redo activities like that. So even outings outside of Montreal, it's healthy for us. It's healthy for the youth, and we also believe in that. So I hope our governments will be able to help us on all those channels to give the money so that we can redo those activities. Because when I was a child, we would go to plays and everything. Au Jésus, we would go see Cyrano de Bergerac. We would go apple picking. So these are the things our governments need to put forward to. I think I'm answering more than one question just by continuing like this. But it's just to say that we need to put the money where it really counts. As we see, there's violence in the street. We see there's mental illness in the street. Des dérapages, really, all kinds of ways. And our government need to start back with teaching our kids and giving them a taste of the earth, and kids that live in the region, giving them a taste of the city also by bringing them to plays, bringing them to festivals and so on. Put the money where it counts to prevent, so that people cannot go crazy the way we're seeing examples every day of people losing their minds. Thank you so much for that little exposure.
Yeah, thank you for that. Just like touching on to more of like the government's responsibility, you mentioned police involvement. Do you have any like points you would like to make about what should change when it comes to municipality or government involvement in Little Burgundy?
Yeah, definitely. Where the office where I'm standing right now is at my bump office. I always come have lunch here, and basically, so I'm an urban mediator. I was the first one when there was black on black crime, and it was police on black crime back in the 2000s. We were losing a lot of youth either way, and we were able with Gérald Tremblay was the mayor of Montreal at that time, and we were able to go see him, and he had seen that mediation, urban mediation, community mediation could be something we could really install here in Montreal, because these are things that were European tried, and in Belgium and France, in Switzerland, I believe. So, and we were able to be the first bump project where the blueprint for urban mediation. And today we're about to celebrate 20 years of opening, and I'm back working here. I left for a couple of years, whatever, but I'm back working as urban mediator here. So we work to be between the community and the youth and the police. So yes, we do have close ties, I would say, with the police in terms that we can go straight to them to get answers to bring back to the community, to bring back the members of the youth and so on, to work with the schools, to work with the different institutions. And definitely police is one of the institution with which we work inside out with them all the time, because there's issues, and we work in the urban spaces, and that's where they are, and we work with the youth in parks with basketball and all the sports and everything, and police is there. So we're like we put ourselves in the middle of that, so we work with those instances also. Yes.
Thank you. Just to shift gears to the pandemic, I was wondering if you could talk about how the pandemic was for your organization, any setbacks or triumphs, just like what was like the timeline, history, how did it impact?
Yeah, like I say, it's taken a toll on everyone, the pandemic. For the organization that I'm associated with, we're open, we're closed, we're not open to the public. So we went through all that, juggling of, just respecting the different rules that were coming about. And it's taken a toll on different ways. Club Energie, for example, I had to shut it down for a year because it was what we were asked, not socializing, not being with the youth. To me, it was not compatible with what we want to offer at Club Energie, where it's really a program of proximity with the child, with the youth, and we want to see them smile, we want to see them breathe properly, we want to see them express themselves on stage. And so to me, it was not compatible, and so I shut that down for a year, and then we had to do. What was cool in it is that I was forced to restart it because I was going to lose my funding. And I started it back at summer, which in 20 years, we had never done a summer Club Energie. So I was able to try out the projet pilote, if I may say, of Club Energie in the summer. So it gave another different taste, meaning we were able to we got the help of Quartier d'Innovation, which is more like they're more in Griffintown, and they came on board, and they paid for a person that was giving French classes, and then she used theater to. We were able to find a beautiful student that actually studies at l'École nationale de théâtre, and she came and gave drama classes to the youth in the summer, and it really snowballed. It was really in French. It was really cool working with Quartier d'Innovation. And the other thing, we also were able to use outside much more because it was nice, and go to botanical garden, go together, go have a yoga teacher, just giving relaxation periods to the adults and to the youth if they were. But actually, we focus a lot for the adults to take a bit in the shade outside, just to be able to relax. So things like that. It was so we were able to do other things with the youth, summer stuff. Go to a movie, go take a picnic to the Chine Canal, things like that. Go to Verdun, to the beach there, or Verdun Beach. So things like that. So it was really, really cool. Would I do it again? Yes, but we had so much on our plate last summer that I don't know if we're going to be able. So that was directly caused by the pandemic. But if you switch it around, I used a lot of that to switch it around on the system. If I was barred to go inside a place because I was not big on the mask, let's say, that's just an anecdote about me. So like pastry shop, they were really diligent about the mask and everything. You can understand them because of what comes out in the bread. But anyway, so I was a couple of times I was not refused access really because I mainly wore the whole like this, like as if I'm going through a sandstorm. And I was refused access to those places. Well, I would switch it around on them, meaning, oh, okay, Michael, for the time being, you're not going to have your little sweet and everything. So you're going to be a kind of on a diet. And then actually, you know, I would flip it around, make it work to my advantage. Okay, I don't need to go into pastry right now. I can take a break from all these sugary stuff and everything. So that's how I lived my pandemic. Insane. I shut down the TV also. Shut down the TV was a good way to not only listen to only that. So for Youth Emotion, we had to close down at certain times and so on. And when we did reopen, I was still able to do the Burgundy Festival. I did it on the boardwalk here in the front of Bisseigneur, and you got Jack Cutter dancing with the police and everything went all over the web and everything so much. It was nice. So we, against, en français on dit contre vents et marées, I really did the Burgundy Festival right up here in 2020. The Saint Jean-Baptiste was canceled for that year, but in 2021, I was able to do both. I was able to redo the Burgundy Festival. It was a big affair, and the Saint Jean also. So in terms of events for the communities, I always fought to keep things going as regular, because people they're going to become insane in their 2.5, 3.5, being confined, with all kinds of curfew and everything. So yes, we do see right now the fallout, the aftermath effect of this pandemic. We see the moi je dis que la rue est folle, because you see the incident that's closer to us. People, a lot of mental illness are walking in the streets right now, and we see certain incidents clear. People or even children being attacked by crazy people and so on. That really touches me. For the incident that happened for Alicia, the little girl in Pointe-aux-Trembles. I really pray for her, and I really think of her, and this is what it means. There's a lot of sick people in our streets, and our governments again they can't wait another 3, 4, 6 months to address the streets and to address how the negative impact of the pandemic. And so I'm asking la CAQ really everywhere. Come on, you want to be reelected? Start giving the money to the programs that will help more people, because the street is hot, and it's starting to be hot right now, and we don't need these things to happen. So, more people déséquilibrés walking the streets and doing all kinds of things, and people, no, man, you need to look at the negative impact of the pandemic and start working with the different groups that can work with, and employing new people that can answer for health services, for mental services, and not exactly what we saw happen to our elders with the CHSLD. Well, you need to really put your mouth where it counts, and your action where it counts, and really start giving to the right people that need the help, the tools and the measure, the monies, to be able to bring back our communities. And it starts by preventing, starts at home, it starts in our CPA, it starts by respecting all the workers that we have working in Quebec, and we need more. This is where maybe Law 21 is very questionable, but I'll stop there. Let you go on.
Sorry, thank you. Going off of that, considering the pandemic is slowly coming to a new phase, do you expect any changes or things to remain the same when it comes to what you're doing here in Mount Burgundy?
Yeah, just to continue on the same vein, we had to, at Youth Emotion, we lost a lot of kids for different reasons. Because the phenomenon is not just Youth Emotion across the border. Les Maisons de Jeunes have to rethink themselves to get the kids to come inside, especially in the winter. In the summer, Youth Emotion, we're big going to meet the kids wherever they are. That's where we're in public settings, the parks. We'll go wherever they are in the summer. They're outside, we're outside. So we know that. We've been doing that for years. But in the winter, it's complicated itself because of they had to stay home. We closed early. We're not social distancing. We weren't allowed to have the numbers we would like to in the center. And the result, and plus the violence that has plagued the youth in the last couple of years in certain communities, around youth emotion, the Black English, and people. A lot of youth come. Their parents come from North Africa, the Maghreb, and those kids that live around and that we were able to bring in have no longer. They don't come because the pandemic. And because they've grown 2 years, man, people have grown. So they've looked elsewhere for their activities. They have a personal relationship with their phone. We can talk about the whole phenomenon of social media and the internet, and especially the phone, meaning they can be entertained in their closet and for hours, so they don't necessarily need to come to a maison des jeunes, but and also go chill at a certain friend. And their parents also tell them, no, the streets are too dangerous, especially at night. You're staying home. You're not going out. And then you put it with the measures of the pandemic that has conditioned us very mentally in many ways, that people are still, oh, I'm not going to socialize. Oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. So a lot of kids have moved on in their own way, and definitely a Maison Jeune has paid the price. Like I say, when summer is here, I know we'll be strong. I know we'll be going wherever they are. But in the winter, when it comes to the communities, like I just named Maghreb, they've really stopped coming in for the reasons that I've told you. A lot of the parents have told them with the incidents that happened at RDP and so on, even the young girl last year, a couple of girls, that's why we're doing a lot of forums now. We had a huge forum, a successful one last week on systemic racism and leadership in Little Burgundy. There's a series of forums happening all over Montreal that are attacking these subjects, the Forum Jeunesse, Youth Forum. So, and also even tomorrow night, we're going to go on with Valérie Plante and her team of le Service de la Diversité de Montréal sur le sujet de la violence armée chez les jeunes. So armed violence amongst youth. So everyone's reflecting on the same things. We hope to come up with different plans to be able to address that and to cut down on that, because it's not looking good if we don't come together. The leaders have to come together, find solutions, and try to implement them. And we need to work all different sectors, meaning the institutions like the city, the political, the police, the community organization, the families, the residents, the youth need to come on board to find the solutions all together. So we're embarked in that process right now, and it's going full steam. We're working with all different partners in Montreal to answer that, and that yes, it has had an impact on our services, meaning less youth are answering for now. But I'm confident that the youth will come out. A new generation will also come. For instance, our Wednesday program at the sports center finally has started back, and we're flying. And I think, Vadim, you've been there. The numbers are really, really good. You mean when we say 25, 30 kids, because they need to be stimulated physically. And it's all about having a healthy spirit and a healthy body. C'est un esprit sain dans un corps sain. And definitely, again, our governments and all our organization and our families need to go outside and play. Leave that phone for at least 5 minutes. Leave that Zoom from school sometime and get active. Get active physically mainly. So that will help your mental stress to go down. And then we can move on and address a lot of other things. But I think the physical stimulation sports should be on the agenda of schools, of community centers, of everyone, because the kids are asking for it. And it's great that they actually want to breathe and, make that cardio exercise workout. So that's crucial right now, crucial.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that the Wednesday program does bring in a lot of kids. And I also remember hearing a lot of the volunteers and workers there talk about how they wanted more. I was wondering if you could talk about like what direction you guys are heading in, because these are things that really do work and they get a lot of kids. So is there any direction of getting more of those programs for other days?
Yes, I mean, we're going to organize, like I say, as the summer arrives, we'll be able to go in the park. There's two beautiful courts there. We're having, I got full court 21 that comes in, international tournament that comes in with Will Strickland. And we've had what's his name? James Butler from the Miami Heat. That's his name, right? I think, yeah, James Butler.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Jimmy Butler. Thank you, Vadim. Come in the park a couple of summers back. So I, with a big Cadillac, came and played. So Oscar Peterson Park with the 2 courts. All of Montreal knows that. You got people from Montreal North that come and play when we have tournaments. When Trevor Williams puts on his tournament, like I just mentioned, Full Court 21, which is a 3-on-3 tournament that's going to be here, I think, on July 16th. Youth Emotion is helping them out. So all kinds of stimulation. We work. So we're going to be working in the parks. I'm responsible for Oppressive Day Park. So we have different animators that go in there and supervise the park and do animation. I also work with other events like Spice Island Cultural Day, which is with Gemma Rayburn, which is a big leader in the Black community. She had to stop Spice Island Day, but when she did at Venus Park, there's 3,000 people in the park that day. Pure soca calypso jumping, and I mean the Prime Minister of Grenada was there the first year, just to tell you. So this is the kind of thing Little Burgundy can do. We also will have Revive NCC. That group will bring on Emancipation Day that is being celebrated for the last couple of years with a beautiful ceremony around August 1st. So we mix it up, but sports will be part of that. Excursions, picnics. If we have to rent bicycles and just go, at the end of the island, whatever is possible out there. We're going to try and stimulate everyone in every fashion. Obviously, the big outing would be the people like to go to this Super Echo Park. That's usually at the end of July, and it's well attended by many children and their parents. So yeah, we know what we have to do, and we hope to do more. Maybe to address maybe some of the violence, some of the kids that are more around the fringes that are more at risk, or to maybe have more hours to do sports like basketball inside the gym. That is something that at Bump we'd like to do with Fresnel. We're looking at to increase the number of hours of time for of youth and young adults. We know that program has worked well elsewhere. So we'd like to see that. But then again, as I'm mentioning, leisure, that's very important. People still need to live. Youth need to live. Young adults need to live. So they also need jobs. So we need to be able to sometimes offer jobs, or to be able to refer them to job opportunities, especially if it's a first job. Often Youth Emotion will come on board and offer that first job to many youth that are issued from the neighborhood. So that's also what we'd like to do, or refer them to other people so that they can get hired. We think it's crucial that because they need that's at the end of the day, bread and butter is still very important for everyone, and especially now at the price of bread and butter, we can understand everybody needs a job.
Perfect, thank you. And just to follow up and summarize any future points, I just wanted to know if you could talk about any future obstacles you think these programs will overcome in the next 6 months, and just a general direction for the future of your programs.
Yeah, well, for Club Energie will go until May. Hopefully we'll go to sugaring off in April. It's very expensive, but they enjoy that. Even the people that are not, because when you go to sugaring off, it's like a real Quebecois trip. It's really like eating like that traditional food, and many of us don't eat pork, and they still enjoy going. So it's a relative expensive trip, but they still enjoy the maple syrup just to be on the outing and the whole atmosphere. So we'll be doing that sometime in April. For a bump right through, we got projects after projects. I mean, they're asking us to develop a salon that maybe I'll ask you, Vadim, some idea. Actually, we need some paintings in there because we want to freshen up and make it really nice, where we could give certain times would be reserved for, let's say, young girls. They could go there and get their hair all nicely done, or twists or whatever, things like that. And other age groups could also benefit from that space. So we have to develop that. We're going to start giving civic education workshops soon again. You know, we have to do our rounds every day and everything. So that's ongoing till the end of the year. I don't see no changes, just an increase of many things. Just because that's what we do. It's alleviate and to secure and give us a sense of security. So that's not going to change. Very busy and working with, you know, obviously the political side and you know, the police side also on that. For I want to mention a bit the Black History Month, because that's and I'll finish with him. Yeah, the roundtable on Black History Month. I believe it is a year of election also for us, many of us there. We've suffered also from the pandemic because we like to see everyone galore to come together and everything at a Place des Arts or wherever else, and a lot of activities were online. It was okay. It was okay for 2 years, but one of the success of the roundtable was to put the historical camp we had last summer out of CEDA. We were based there, and we had a slew of great guest speakers. I mean, just to name a few, I mean, the first Black captain for the fire department in Montreal, David Shelton, Dr. Dorothy Williams, Franz Voltaire, the list goes on. Debbie Hunt from Union United Church and people like that their mothers came up through the domestic scheme and so on. So we brought a lot of teachings to on Black history during 6 weeks, visiting Place Royale, where the Black slaves were slaves were actually being sold in Old Montreal, and so on. So the list was very intense, and we hope to do it again this summer, to offer that camp and to have, you know, even other guest speakers especially with the Zoom, you know, we can think far, maybe having Dr. Charmin Nelson or things like that would be amazing. Dr. Afua Cooper also, I'd love to have her, or even others. I actually saw someone here with us. I might ask her, I won't name her name, but I think she'd be a great presenter coming from the Asian community. But yeah, we look out of the box. John Gilmore, that wrote Swinging in Paradise, came and gave a beautiful workshop. So we're really looking at rescinding, and the youth are, some of them really want to come back. So that's really something so cool. And it's done in tandem with Union United Church. Amazing program. So I really want to mention that. So the roundtable, yes, things are voguing well. We hope to be able stronger when we do come back in presentiel. Regardless of the people that will be in place, we'll see the next election and everything, but there's still a drive from myself to, regardless of what position I will hold, to at least maybe see to come to fruition, and that's longer than 6 months, Vadim. It would be to see in a couple of years, and I'm already mentioning because now is the time to think about it and to start writing letters to UNESCO and the United Nations, is to really look at the decade, what it has meant, the decade for people of African descent, 2015, 2024. I think it's very important to have an international seminar, an international conference, and I'm calling on people that want to work on that. I already know many roundtables that are doing Black history around Quebec are interested. So I would really like to see an international conference again with Zoom. We could have people from France, we got people from Senegal, we got people from Cuba, you know, wherever we would like to call upon, and have a huge conference and look at what it has meant these last 10 years and what is there still that we need to do. Because as this door will shut down in a certain way, maybe we need to reopen another one. So that would be something I'd really be interested in. And that's looking down, you know, a couple of years, but it's, you know, what is a couple of years in these times? And I'll finish with Youth Emotion, just to say that Youth Emotion, which is also it's a community organization, but it's renowned as a Black institution for youth for so long, a Canadian one, and we're very proud of it. I'm proud of it too. And we're going to continue working with the youth regardless of their background, as long as they live in Little Burgundy. And we're happy to have them come in because at the end of the day, the Little Burgundy experience, whether your parents are from Bangladesh or they're from Morocco or Algeria, it is the Little Burgundy experience that they're living, meaning living in social housing, living in quarters that are inner city, living where you need to really find your place because no one's going to give it to you. Uh, so it is, regardless of your origin, of your cultural or ethnic origin, it's a tough area in that perspective. And I recognize it because all the youth that come through Little Burgundy, they have to find their way and really fight for their right to go to university to get, because poverty is a crime. Don't forget, meaning that the youth, if they come from very, very modest digs or even poor, households, whatever, in terms of financial, it makes it harder in every way. That's where you often recreate yourself in the street and you're recuperated by the gangs and so on. So definitely, regardless, it's not just blacks, it's not just uh, First Nation that can fall to the streets uh, and so on. Right now, everyone is at risk and definitely in an inner city zone like Little Burgundy, like many other inner city zones, Saint Michel. There's different streets that Montreal needs to look at to really answer better the needs of those kids that are growing up in very, very dire situations, sometimes from the cradle on up, meaning there's insufficient help and attention starting at home sometimes. So we need to be more, just to be more observative and helpful to our fellow, the brother keeper attitude, sister keeper attitude. That's what we need to do as a society. I really believe. And that's what we try to do here in Little Burgundy. We encourage even residents to do that to each other because, that's also, we're not always there, but often if they're trained, if they got that compassion for each other, empathy, it can only benefit. So it's a change. It's a deep change of our society. And I'm asking again, our leaders to show that, not to be warmongers type of thing, We've got too much warmongers around the world. You know what I'm saying? So that is what we have to say. I got a couple of poems I'd like to maybe say also. I just released actually, thank you for the presentation again, Marianne. And what you read there was from, I've worked so quick. That was in 2018. I was up at 3 albums. And in 2021, I'm up to 6 albums. So there's 3 new albums. The 4th one is called We Know Who We Are. With the song We Know Who We Are, that speaks a lot about me being a descendant of the Africans that were brought here and enslaved, but also a descendant of First Nations from my father's side and mother's side. And I've only discovered that in the last couple of years because I'm adopted also by fine people that came from Europe, from Switzerland and Hungary. That's why my name is Farkas. It's Hungarian. So basically, so I wrote that album. It's an EP. We Know Who We Are with that song. And then my next album was At the Rock. And At the Rock, I'm mentioning it also because it's a crucial 14-song album where I speak of one of the main songs, At the Rock. It speaks of the famous, and I will say the word because there's no other word. It's for Saint Armand's Nigger Rock. So I wasn't going to name my album like that, but I did name. So the picture, actually, if you go online on Heart, Hand, Soul, like a hand, so you'll see At the Rock, and you'll see us all pausing with the Black Coalition in Quebec. We do buses. We load up buses of people, and we go up there and we do a pilgrimage every summer. We honor our ancestors. So I did an album dedicated to At the Rock for that. And also, I lost my 2 mothers. I lost my adoptive mother in 2020, and I lost my biological mother that I never got to speak before she left. So I also, it's also an homage song on there, Whisper to You Real Close, to both of them. So That was my fifth album, and I just got online with my sixth album, and it's called "Gotta Hold On to Your Sanity." And I don't think I really need presentation. I think everybody will understand. Go. It's just fresh out. I can maybe send a link. Maybe if I could do that, but I'm not. But anyway, the link is out. Gotta Hold On to Your Sanity. That's my sixth album. Just came out. I'm waiting for the hard copies to come in, but it's already on YouTube. It's also on my site, Michael P. Farkas, Heart, Hand, Soul, .ca. Hand, you got it right like the hand. H-A-N-D. And you'll find all these albums. So yes, so I'm writing at a prolific, even like the other guy said, a prolific, because I have a lot to say and I'm still healthy, so I'm just keep on going. And so No One Can Stop This Train was my second album. And I chose the title today because of the region, because of the porters that worked so hard, because of the domestic that came in, the domestic women that worked so hard and raised their kids that are today proud Montrealers and are still being discriminated against, but have often achieved degrees of university and helping Montrealers and Quebecers all over and are still being discriminated, you know? So no one can stop this train, you know, no, because, you know, and I will maybe just read a couple of lines to that one. No one can stop myself as a train. I'm keep as long as I'm alive. I'm going to keep on trucking. I'm going to keep on advancing. We went through a pandemic. We're going to keep on moving. We're going to help the ones that need to be lifted up a little more because it helps us too. Because sanity, mental health, and mental illness can happen to any one of us. Any one of us. That's not something, oh, you're rich or you have enough to eat. No, man, it don't work like that, as we all know. Anyone can fall to that. So we need to watch for each other. But the train's not going to be stopped. And as we see, the world's going to keep on turning. So, but nevertheless, it's always like Marianne beautifully read before. And when you read that, thank you again. My thing is always to repair things, to try to unite. I'm an MOR. I consider myself an MOR guy. Sometimes I can be radical on certain things, but I consider myself really a middle of the road guy. Really, really, really. There's always a way of negotiating, and that's what we wish to Putin and Zelensky very much, that they find another way. It's never too late, even though it's very, very sad what they're living there. But there's other wars in the world that we're not talking about. And even there's kind of a systemic something. You know, the media talking about that war, and it's justified to talk about this miserable war. That's totally devastating, and actually we need to shut it down because even that's not healthy to watch every minute. But we know there's war in Yemen, there's war in Ethiopia against the Tigray people, and so on, and probably even some others that I haven't. There's poverty, and there's problems in Haiti that are so grave that we've stopped mentioning them, but we shouldn't banalize nothing. And so yes, Ukraine is just an example, and they're sitting on on something that we just don't want, on a powder cake that we just don't want to explode. So we understand that the whole world is watching that, but it's just a reminder that all wars are bad, and we need to find better solutions. So I am a big defender of it would be King Martin Luther King, obviously. Even Malcolm X, in a way, was a peacemaker too in his own right, and Mahatma Gandhi also, and naturally Nelson Mandela, just to name those four. I have a lot of respect also for Anzinka, the Queen Anzinka, and many other women that came and really showed us, preserved us from more tragedies, and often it's our mothers and grandmothers. So we have to give them respect a lot, and that's very important. No one can stop this train. No one can stop the chain. No one can stop the truth. No one can stop the time. A necklace tied around my neck. Who was shackled will now be unchained. Who shall hate will have to be tamed. Who shall cry will be reclaimed. Babylon is always in need of an enemy. They will create one if they can't stage duality. Mirrors of water on a dry desert wall. Quench your thirst in an oasis of pleasure. No one can stop the rain. No one can stop the pain. No one can stop the shame. No one can stop the flame. A necklace tied around my neck, who is shackled now be unchained. Who shall hate will have to be tamed. Who shall cry will be reclaimed. Pirates in the city executing modern day slavery. Cut down the throat of the man that spoke of liberty. Black annealing black is just another blasphemy. I and I stand to enlighten Pan-African treasuries. All aboard the train that carries all our memories. From there we will gain the land of our ancestry. Life is full of blame and people are in mockery. Isn't it a foolish game to be divided for all those centuries? No one can stop the strange, no one can stop the name. No one can stop the plane, no one can stop the flame. From burning very high, yes, I raise my eyes to the sky. May we all begin to shine, pay attention to glory times. So we can walk conscious and free again, raise my glass to the bravery of so many men and women, remembering why we came here in the first degree. From yesterday and still today, we gravitate to be. I'm gonna stop on that note and thank you. And if there's any questions, comments, I'll be glad to hear them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, both Michael and Vadim, for a wonderful conversation and for your beautiful words at the end. So yes, I'd like to see it. If anyone has questions or comments, if you could put that in chat. Well, maybe I could ask a question in the meantime, and that is Black History Month. And I hope in my lifetime I get to see where we don't need a Black History Month because Black history is incorporated in the history that we teach in Quebec and Canada and around the world. I just wonder if you had any comments that you wanted to make about
that.
About Black History Month and about how it started and where it's, looking back, where it is now from where it was and what you hope for the future.
Well, maybe that's why that conference, that international conference on the decade of people of African descent is crucially important to state really where we are at. Because obviously we're not just going to look at 10 years, we're going to look at, way before and where we want to go and portray ourselves maybe in 100 years. So that exercise, I think, is really would not be futile if we embark on that. Black History Month. Yeah, I heard a politician at l'Afro Musée say the same thing 2 weeks ago when we were launching the exhibit of Dr. Dorothy Williams saying he hopes. Listen, there's different. It's a window. It's a promotional window. Black History Month, February. Where it's not, yes, there's the educational component, very important if it could be included in schools, which doesn't really, that's not going too quick. So it's probably not going to happen because we cannot forget that the place given to les Premières Nations, aux peuples autochtones du Canada, is very small too in our history book. And is also, I've read some of it lately, like my daughter even had a history. And it's not written by them. It's written by so even for them. So we got to, there's a lot of things here. We got to ensure that the books that would be put or the curriculum touching on Black history, touching on First Nation history is definitely done in partnership and in agreement with the people coming from that. That's the first component. The window, yes, it's a short month. it was a week that Carter J. Woodson thought out to show the contributions, mainly the academic and other contributions of Blacks. That's how it started. And it developed into a month later on in the 70s when Gerald Ford passed it as a month-long commemoration in February. It's also due to the fact that Abraham Lincoln, I think, is born there, father of the emancipation, and Frederick Douglass, I think, also his birthday, but you could also say Bob Marley's birthday is there too. But nevertheless, so it is a window of opportunity to showcase also our culture, to showcase who we are, to make ourselves known. It's the shortest month. It's that August would actually be much more, in many ways, appropriate, but it's also the month where we're on vacation, we're doing our barbecues, we're traveling, whatever. But August definitely because of Emancipation Day on August 1st, and obviously also the Asian Revolution. The main night was I think went from August 22nd to 23rd. So August would be really appropriate. That's what we do have commemoration. And I think they all do something during the remembrance of the transatlantic slave trade during the week of the 19th of August. And also we started commemorating Emancipation Day. So it gives extra time. I mean, Blacks, we much more like the summer for our elders and everyone to come out in icy February and everything. It's always been a problem and everything. So I hear you, but it is what it is. It also shows resilience on the other hand. Can it be education? And then, yeah, maybe we won't need Black History Month, but I don't really, I don't have a problem as long as we don't forget ourselves, and that also is a duty of Black folks themselves all over the world to think about themselves and not be conditioned in a system where they let if I may say, the majority, or not so much the majority because they're not the majority, but the elites, the white elites, govern, dictate when and how we celebrate. So it's up to the Black folks all over the world. In Africa, they don't really have Black History Month, I believe. They're starting to talk about it, that they need to also maybe think of themselves and, look at, not just look at the European book that's being imposed by them in terms of history, but for them to look at Cheikh Anta Diop and to look at other great Black authors, African authors that really gave them the real story and so on. So yeah, it is Frantz Fanon, and really we need to go back to our roots. Aimé Césaire, really look at our authors and our people that have marked, and there's many others that James Baldwin, for instance, and many others that are writing right now, and we need to read, and that is all year round. You don't stop. You only don't just read in February. So I think writing and authors are really important because they're the ones that leave a mark of our passage here on earth. So Black authors are crucially important. We need to encourage that all year round, regardless if Black History Month will disappear or stay.
Okay, I have one more question. I just thought the opportunity for only one question. So Stéphane, you wanted to ask a question.
Sure. Thank you so much, Marianne. Thank you, Vadim. Michael, thank you for your generous thought. I've been writing down so many of your actually reflections and comments, and I'm so happy. And I wish actually that actually no one will stop Michael Farkas as a train to continue. So that's for sure. But I mean, there's so many things we could talk, and we don't have a lot of time. But I just want you, first of all, if I may take 30 seconds, Marianne and Vadim, just to be thankful because I know Michael is not going to mention this, but as someone who's involved in Quebec Studies at McGill over the years, Michael has been with Youth in Motion and with CETA, has been so generous in welcoming McGill students part of our community engage learning program, Exceller at McGill. And the students have really had the unique privilege to be next to Michael and to discover actually the reality of what Michael has mentioned in a sense. Well, some kids do fight for the right to go to the university, and actually our McGill students do discover that what Michael just mentioned, poverty is a crime. So thank you for being so generous on that perspective. I just want you to, if you could go a bit deeper, if possible, or just reflect on one beautiful comment that you mentioned, especially, coming out of the pandemic and Montrealers being it seems a bit afraid of security or social justice issues, but you mentioned we need to be more helpful to each other actually, and to be brother keepers or sister keepers. If you could go on a bit more on that, that would be so healing and so wonderful. There's so many students that are asking themselves some questions and what they could do. So Michael, I just want you to react and to thank you once again for your generosity today.
Thank you, Stefan. And to rapidly say, obviously, if I'm saying it needs to happen more, it's because there's a lack of. We're not enough watching over our neighbors and our, just being, we need to put a bit more humanity and less, maybe a little, we're all busy, just trying to survive or just to live a life. So we need to be less robotic in that way and just a little more humane. And I think we're going to be all right. So to avoid, because maybe we can see and hear things to avoid certain things that are happening just in front of our eyes and in ears sometimes. If everyone does a little more, and maybe we'll avoid certain things like some of the atrocities we're hearing. So I find there's a lack, and the system is also organized for us to know. I don't want to know my neighbor, and the pandemic didn't help because we were asked to not frequent even sometimes our parents. So yeah, we need to reverse that and just come together, and it's not going to happen overnight, but I mean, it's not that hard. It's not that complicated, just to be a little more compassionate and show empathy. So meaning so many homeless people right now, eh? And I'm not saying you have to give $1 or $2 every time, especially that it's getting tighter for everyone, but you know what I'm saying? They're part of our environment too. The ones that are still living at and their experience very hard. I hope instead, we're not going to spit on them, definitely not, and we shouldn't spit on them because living, on the concrete cement or in a mall or in the metros, we see them. All of us see them. All of us, university teachers, everyone, le recteur, everyone sees them. So all I'm saying is, I'm not saying you have to give and stop. All I'm saying is just to acknowledge that they're also part of our environment, and eventually we need to find solutions to also the weaker people, young girls, all kinds of women that need the help, Muslim women, Black women, and even again, and people that are living in poverty. Some men that are touched by mental illness, to recognize it. I think that often we're gonna, excuse me, I'm really Montreal mixing up with the French, but we're gonna look elsewhere when we see mental illness, and maybe we need to have a little lexic that our government would put in places to say, oh, you can actually do that. So, because what happened to Alicia again in Pointe aux Trembles, I don't know who was around, but when I read that, I was burning inside this morning and saying that her life won't never be the same. So, and all of that. So we pray for her, and we, you know, and everything. And I know people have reached out because we're all the same. And I'm sure it's Black people, white people, French people, English people that reached out to Valérie, say, oh, wow, I'm touched by that. So that's what I mean. So in a way, once we put what we have in common, we might realize that what we have that makes us different can actually just be there. And we don't have to put so much, bring that up and then create fences. But actually we have in terms of feelings and sentiments, we often have the same sentiments because we all find that what the people in Ukraine are living is unacceptable. You know, I think regardless if you're Black, white, whatever, French, English, c'est ça l'être humain. That's the beauty. And so that's what I'm calling upon all of us. And it starts with me, myself. So it's a message to myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. I don't know what to say. You know, you're always generous with me. Every time I ask you to come to my class, you always say yes. And I'm so, so grateful, as I am today again. I also want to thank Vadim for you know, setting up the questions, right, having the conversation with you. I think that, you know, all of this was really important for all of us to hear. And I'm so thankful to the organizers like to Stéphane who helped, to Blair who helped put this all together. So thank you so much. And I do want to tell you that next Wednesday from 4 to 5, we are having our second Montreal is Seen By. It's with Zev Moses, and it's called Making a Community-Driven Project a Reality, the Museum of Jewish Montreal. So again, I thank all of the people who came today. And Michael, what can I say? Thanks again, and we will continue this, I hope.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good, important discussion, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.